Hi everyone. Okay, this week we were asked to read. This is week 9, and we were asked to read "The Sculptor's Funeral" by Willa Cather, and a selection of County Cullen poems, including "Heritage" by County Cullen, but "Heritage," which was in his um, selection with in his work called "Color," which is a collection of his poems. I believe that was just what I read was one of his first release in County Cullen, of course, one of the big names in the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s. Um, anyway, so we'll start out with Sculptor's Funeral. This particular short story seemed like it got off to a slow start, but nonetheless, it was very visual story. In the beginning, we have a train coming in, and it has um, Harvey Harvey Merrick on board, and we don't know that at first. We don't really know who he is. We just know that we have like a lawyer, a drunken lawyer, and then somebody that was in the Civil War and now wearing a much flashier uniform than he would have worn in the Civil War, and some other people. And he's arriving, and they take him into the town, and come to find out that he's a sculptor, and all of the people in this town that he's from were business people or people that associated with business. And what we find out about these people is that they weren't the most ethical people, and I think that's a very big part of the story is ethics and disappreciation of art. Um, so it sounds like they said that he could have gone to the Kansas City Business School, but instead he went out east and wasted his life basically. And he was a very talented sculptor, and I'll read one passage that I found particularly important in the story. A burnt dog dreads the fire, said the lawyer grimly, and closed his eyes. Stevens went on and on, reconstructing that whole miserable boyhood. All this raw, biting ugliness had been the portion of the man whose mind was to become an exhaustless gallery of beautiful impressions, so sensitive that the mere shadow of popular leaf flickering against a sunny wall would be etched and held there forever. Surely, if ever a man had the magic word at his fingertips, it was Merrick. Whatever he touched, he revealed its holiest secret, liberated it from enchantment, and restored it to its pristine loveliness. Upon whatever he had come in contact with, he had left a beautiful record of the experience, a sort of ethereal signature, a scent, a sound, a color that was its own. And to me, that was the perfect segment that kind of tied the story together halfway through and gave me a real idea of who uh, Mr. Merrick was, Harvey Merrick. And so where he's with all these people that are just greedy people, business people, not necessarily because somebody's involved with business. I mean, but he was with involved with crooked people. The people from Sand City were crooked, and I think this is the very fact that the place was called Sand City was the fact that it was kind of built upon sand. So these guys built the city upon sand, metaphorically, proverbially. Anyway, so he went out west, and I believe the whole story is just about everybody not really appreciating the arts and not appreciating Mr. Merrick and not really seeing what a talent he was and what he really, really gave to the world. And we find out by the end of the story that, if I can find his name, I apologize. We have we have Jim Laird, who was a lawyer who came in and gives a monologue at the end of the story talking about like who are you all? You all are just crooked bastards and awful people, and basically reams all these people out for even commenting negatively against Harvey Merrick. And so that's kind of just that story. It's about ethics and about appreciation of the arts, and like just because he didn't choose a livelihood that paid well or had money involved or sold himself out to unethical practices doesn't mean he's any less of a person. Obviously, it makes him more of a person or a better person. So anyway, so now we'll move on to the County Cullen poems, and we got a little biography here about County Cullen. and how significant he was um uh, in the Harlem Renaissance. He of course married W.E.B. Du Bois' daughter, and so that was I read somewhere that that was kind of related to kind of the same thing as Michael Jackson marrying Elvis Presley's daughter, and this kind of the same thing as in as the marriage ending very shortly. Anyway, after about 2 years in both instances. But the main poem here is heritage, and basically what heritage talks about is starts out the first words are what is Africa to me. So it's kind of like County Coleman trying to figure out what Africa was to him, what it meant to him, and he kind of romanticizes about it up until halfway through the poem, and uh, and then kind of gets into a conflict towards the end. So it's kind of just like his search of his own heritage and kind of romanticism about being African and what it means for his heritage and how mighty his people were and how far they've come since um, since they left their continent uh, prior. And I believe it also has to do with the roundabout way of him becoming coming to Christ or coming becoming Christian of sorts, and how they're they accepted became assimilated with white man's culture throughout all of this. So it's kind of a weird thing of a little aspect to the poem. And then we have his other poem, Incident, where this is just a three stanza poem, and this is just an experience of him in Baltimore, I guess, and when he was an 8-year old, and just being having to deal with racial bigotry and like it's nothing, and being called the N word by another little boy his age, which means the other little boy had been conditioned to do that as if it was okay, and of course it's not okay. But anyway, all right. Well, I really enjoyed both of these poems by Kathy Coleman and the story by Willa Cather, and I hope to see. I'm excited to see what everybody else has to say about these. Anyway, my name is Christian Aldo, and I will see you all next week. Thanks. Bye.